Have you heard of the credit card ladder? It is a commonly used step-by-step process for people on their credit card journey. But is the credit card ladder for you? Are there risks to your individual journey by climbing the credit card ladder? In this video, we're going to talk about what are the tiers of a credit card ladder. We're going to talk about specific things to be aware of within each tier. And we're going to look at 3 reasons why the credit card ladder may not be right for you in your journey. Now be sure to stay to the end because reason number 3 is going to look at a credit card approval component that never gets talked about and can truly accelerate your process. The credit card ladder has 5 tiers, but we're only going to look at 4 of the tiers. The 5th tier is an invitation only by banks to very high wealth individuals, princes, and we're just not going to worry about that as part of our analysis and journey today. So let's look at the first tier, which I would call the credit builder tier. And this tier is for people with credit scores that normally go up to about a 669. This tier commonly is for 4 types of people. 1, a college student. 2, a person that is starting off their credit journey. 3, a person that is rebuilding their credit after some mistakes that may have happened in their journey. And 4th are people that are looking to be able to address high interest debt on credit cards, maybe through a balance transfer. Common credit cards in this tier for students would be the Discover It student card, the Capital One Saver One student card, and even the Chase Freedom or Freedom Flex card. Now, if you're a person that's just starting their credit card journey, you may end up looking at secured credit cards and unsecured credit cards depending on what your individual situation is. Secured credit cards are credit cards in which you as the consumer are providing a security deposit, let's say $200 to the credit card issuer. And the credit card issuer issues you a card with a credit limit equal to the amount of the security deposit that you provided them. If it is determined that you need a secured credit card, the best thing to be able to do is to deal with a credit card issuer that has regular reviews to seeing if you can be moved from a secured credit card to an unsecured credit card. A couple of well-respected secured cards would be the Discover secured credit card, as well as the Capital One Quicksilver secured credit card. If you do start with a secured credit card and get moved to an unsecured credit card, whatever deposit you had to provide will be returned back to you. In the last category are, once again, for people that have high interest credit card debt and are looking to potentially balance transfer. Balance transfer cards are cards in which come with a 0% introductory rate for a certain period of time, and that you can transfer balances from other credit cards onto it to be able to take advantage of that 0% interest to hopefully accelerate your repayment. Now, while I'm referencing balance transfer cards on this tier, you typically actually need to be able to get to about a 700 credit score to qualify for balance transfer cards. This is why it is so important that even if you have credit card debt that you're not able to pay off entirely at the end of each billing period, that you at least make the minimum payment on time every time. That will allow your credit score to remain high enough to be able to qualify for this type of balance transfer card. It is those missed payments and late payments that can absolutely damage your credit score. 2 cards with the longest 0% introductory period are the Wells Fargo Reflect and the Citi Simplicity cards. Both of those cards have an introductory 0% interest rate for 21 months, almost 2 years. Now, be sure to keep in mind though, there are balance transfer fees that are always associated with a balance transfer card. So on the Wells Fargo, it is 5% of whatever you transfer to that credit card. The Citi Simplicity is at 3% for that card. If you're considering a balance transfer option, please keep 3 things in mind. Number 1, you have to have a plan for this. You need to be able to have a budget laid out of how you're going to be able to make those payments over that period of the introductory period to determine how far you can truly go on bringing that debt down, if not fully pay it off. Number 2, whatever credit card that you have that high level debt that you want to transfer, it cannot be transferred to a balance transfer card from the same credit card issuer. So if you have a credit card debt with Citi and you want to transfer it to the Citi Simplicity, that is something you would not be able to do. And number 3, be sure to only use the balance transfer card for the balance transfer you did. Do not add new debt to it. Now let's look at the second tier. This would be what I would call the entry level for the credit card ladder. Now this tier is characterized by a few items. 1, you need to have a credit score of 670 or above. 2, these credit cards will not have an annual fee. Number 3, there'll either be a 2% cashback or 5% on rotating categories. And then lastly, there normally will be some kind of small intro bonus available to you on most of these cards. Now for people like me that are in the points and miles game, I need cards on this tier that are going to be able to help me in my points and miles goal. And so there are a few cards that have that potential. And those 4 cards are the Chase Freedom Flex, the Chase Freedom Unlimited, the Citi Double Cash, and the Citi Custom Cash. Now while these 4 cards earn cash back, if you have a certain tier 3 card for each of those issuers, you can convert those cash back dollars into points and miles. For the Citi cards, it's the $95 Citi Premier Tier 3 card. For Chase, it's the $95 Tier 3 Chase Sapphire Preferred card. Each of these $95 cards allows you to transfer the no annual fee credit card cashback points into points and miles to be used through those mid-tier cards. And that's why these cards can be ones that are outstanding as your first cards, because there's no annual fee and they do move you along on your points and miles path quick. Now the third tier of the ladder is really the mid-level rewards cards. Characteristics of this tier are a 700 credit score is needed. You are looking for a little bit more benefits related to your travel. And 3, the annual fees for these cards are going to range essentially from $95 to $250. Now some common cards that would fall into this category would be the Citi Premier at $95, the Capital One Venture for $95, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which is $95. American Express actually would have 3. They would have the American Express Everyday Preferred at $95, the American Express Green Card at $150, and then the American Express Gold Card at $250. Now the fourth tier of the ladder is really for premium travel cards. This tier is characterized by credit card scores that you need to be at 740 and above. The annual fees will range from $395 to nearly $700 for your annual fee. You're going to be getting expanded premium benefits of lounge access and as well as higher credits to try to keep that annual fee down. Now, just as I mentioned in Tier 3, it is very important for you to really spend time looking at the credit cards that you may consider in this tier to ensure that the benefits and the credits that are offered are truly going to exceed the annual fee that you are being asked to pay. Cards that are commonly in this category would be the Capital One Venture X at $395, the Chase Sapphire Reserve at $550, and the American Express card Platinum that is $695. The benefit provided by these cards is Priority Pass Airport Lounge access for the credit card user. In addition, each of those 3 brands, Capital One, Chase, and American Express, have their own branded lounge in different locations. Capital One and Chase are just starting, with Capital One having 3 locations and Chase having 5 locations. American Express has multiple locations across the world, which are their Centurion lounges. Now, Tier 4 does have premium hotel and airline cards that, as I've suggested on the previous 2 tiers, is to not necessarily look at them first. Stick with those transferable points and those signing bonuses. You can always come back to getting the premium airline or a hotel card if that is one that you commonly use. So as you can see, the credit card ladder does provide a very structured path for your credit card journey. But let's look at 3 reasons why that credit card ladder may not be best for you. The first reason the credit card ladder may not be right for you is because you may end up being at risk of accumulating credit cards that you want and inquiries that you have no interest in. If you're looking at getting credit cards from all of those 4 major credit card issuers, American Express, Chase, Citi, and Capital One, you may feel that you have to go through each tier to get to where you want to go. And with that type of thinking and belief, you very well may be applying for credit cards that you truly are not interested in, that don't benefit the plan that you have developed. Just always keep in mind, not every card on every tier for that bank is necessary for you to get to feel like you can get to where you truly want to go. The second reason is it can actually delay your rewards and limit your travel. Well, we did touch on some credit cards that can help us with points and miles when accompanied with a tier 3 card to convert cash back into points and miles. It is really tier 3 where we start seeing a big difference in being able to accumulate points and miles. With tier 3 cards, we're seeing higher welcome bonuses. With tier 3 cards, we're also seeing the point values on our everyday purchases being higher. 3% on gas, 4% on groceries, where we can truly use our everyday spend to grow our points and miles. Depending upon your plan and your personal situation, you may actually find yourself be able to jump directly to a tier 3 card like American Express Gold. And the third reason why you may not want to climb the credit card ladder is it can actually be misleading. If you look at the ladder, you may think that you have to wait through tier 2 and tier 3 to access the American Express Platinum in tier 4. But that is actually not normally the case. Another issue is that a lot of times we're just focusing on the credit score that may be necessary for a tier. The reality is, from my point of view, there's actually 3 components to determine where you can be at and how quickly you can get a credit card no matter what the tier is. I actually view you applying for a credit card as 3 components being involved. Credit score, of course. Number 2 would be income, which is sometimes talked about. And income is what will allow you, in some cases, to be able to go from borderline to tipping the scale in your favor. But not everybody has that type of leverage available. The third component I don't normally hear about, but I know from personal experience means a great deal, is relationships. Relationships with credit card issuers is a great equalizer, and it doesn't matter what your income is, and it doesn't matter what your credit score is. Anyone can create a relationship with a credit card issuer, and credit card issuers want you to develop relationships with them. For the credit card issuer, they get to be able to market to someone that already has a relationship with them. So Capital One has a checking account, a savings account, auto loans that they want to be able to market to you and others. Chase has checking, savings, auto loans, mortgages, and even investments that they want to be able to market to you. For my wife and I, we create relationships with credit card issuers that work for us. In the case of Capital One, we each opened up a no-fee checking account and actually received bonuses for opening the accounts. In addition, we just ended up happening to get a vehicle and use them to be able to do the lending for that car. I know that relationship that we built with Capital One allowed us to get a Venture and a Venture X card. In the case of Chase, we opened up a checking and savings account way before we even looked at getting credit cards from them. That relationship with just a checking and savings account, I know has benefited my wife and I for us to have accumulated 11 different Chase credit cards to date. So create and develop relationships with the credit card issuers that you see yourself having a long-term relationship with. It can make the journey easier for you and the credit card ladder less necessary. If you want to know how you can use credit cards through points and miles to enjoy the travel you've always wanted, click on this video and I'll be able to show you how.